Coming up on the Art of Reinvention Show.
When you're young and you're out and you can easily be influenced to do bad things, and you think bad things is being cool because everybody is doing it. Everybody has a gun now. Everybody has this, and this is the style to walk with my pants down. Be different. Be the person that don't have the gun. Be the person that don't smoke weed. Be the person that's not out here chasing the women and stuff like that. All of us got emotions, and anger is one of them. And so if we saw our parents angry at home, and the way that they displayed their anger and the way they handled their anger and the way they resolved their anger was through violence, if that's all that you constantly see, if that's the way that somebody handles that emotion of anger, that's what's gonna go into that child.
Welcome to the Art of Reinvention Show, where we're changing the world one person at a time by provoking thought. I'm your host, bringing you inspiring conversations and real stories that drive change. Tune in, be inspired, and join our community. Don't forget to share and subscribe to our podcast. Your journey to reinvention starts here. Here's your host, the one and only TeflonJohn.
Turn this up.
Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your boy TeflonJohn coming to you courtesy of the Art of Reinvention Show. And today we got a very special show. We got a friend of mine, Shawn Hunter of the Lynchburg Peacemakers. And so we want you to take about 30 to 40 seconds to tell the folks who you are.
Well, my name is Shawn Hunter. I'm the founder and CEO of the Lynchburg Peacemakers. It's the Peacemakers, Inc., because we are constantly opening up chapters throughout Virginia. And I'm just excited about being here and being on your podcast.
Okay, I appreciate having you.
Yes, sir.
It's been maybe a few months in the making?
Yes.
A few months in the making when you had me come to your barbershop talks.
Yes.
Yep, and then we'll get into a lot of that. But I appreciate the work that you're doing around the city. Appreciate the work that you're doing for the youth, and we're going to get into it for people that don't know who Shawn Hunter is. So let's talk about, for the people that know who Shawn Hunter is, they know who the Peacemakers are, and they see that red. I normally see you guys wearing that red hoodie,
Yes.
With the white logo. Now let's take a step back, right? So let's go back in time and talk about your early life influences. And can you share some of your early life experiences that influence your decisions on you wanting to impact the local community?
Yes. Well, I did not have those type of thoughts until later on in life, but we will take it back somewhat. When I was a little boy, I was growing up in a place called Covington, Virginia, out of Allegheny County. And I know who my father is. I know who my mother is. And they were not always together, but I knew who my father was. So I come from that single parent household. I come from a broken household. I was passed around in my family. And so I pretty much, at a younger age, had a troubled life because I was exposed to a whole lot of harmful things, and that a kid should not be exposed to. But there was good, too, also. Memory of being in the church a lot. Loved school at one time, but I only went to I stopped learning in the 4th or 5th grade. Life just took a bad turn for me. When I was in my teenage years, I was already using drugs. Tried to commit suicide at the age of 16, and ended up, unfortunately, in the prison system at the age of 17 with a sexual offense that I ended up spending 21 years of my life in prison for. So that's just a little background of my life. So pretty much I grew up in the penal system.
Gotcha.
I'm not gonna say I'm a product of nothing because I was out. God made me into something what He wanted to make me into, and so I can't say I'm a product of the prison system, a product of my environment, but I'm here and a living testament that, hey, you can go through trials and tribulations in life and come out so beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Go through a storm and come out so beautiful. And I'm grateful that I'm here, and to be able to tell you what I'm telling you now.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's travel back. So you're saying that, throughout your youth where you grew up. So where was the pivot? Usually when folks start to go down a certain road or when things started to happen? Like, was there a pivot? Was there a situation that was pulling you towards that lifestyle back then?
Um, we was poor. I was poor. So I moved to, when I was around about 14, I moved to 13, I moved to DC with my sister. And that was really when my life of crime started, because the life there was fast in DC. And so I ended up being with the wrong crowd, not going to school, breaking into vehicles. The thing out there during that time, we was snatching purses, hats, uh, I would say mischievous, but these was criminal things, delinquent things that young teenagers did during that time, and that's how we made our living. We either we wore the things that we stole, or we sold it and made money, and that allowed us to maneuver like young adults around the city, because we was poor. We didn't get money from our mom and dad. So a child sometimes in people don't understand that they take care of themselves by whatever means they can, and so that was the lifestyle that I was in for a while, and then I brought it back to Virginia.
Got you. So do you think that, because I know when you look at when youth are in the street, they gravitate towards someone like a big brother or
Yes.
a mentor. It may
Yes.
not be in the correct way, but did you have any mentors then that you were looking up to that were in the street that kind of pulled you more out there?
Yes, I think it's similar to what today you looked at the dope boys who had the most money, the fine cars, and the girls liked them because they had money. And so, as a young mind like that, you look at something that this is what you can see yourself being, because that's the easy way, because nobody never taught you nothing or guided you in a different way. So you thought that was success, what you saw. But 9 times out of 10, what we saw and what we emulated ended us either in prison or the graveyard.
Yeah, got you. So what are some of your life lessons that early on, like when you're in that, 4th grade or whatever to about 12, that you learned during that time? Did you ever
Right.
think about, man, like this is something that I want to stop, but you couldn't? Or was it just you were kind of learning and going as you were moving?
I say this all the time, that kids mimic what they see and repeat what they hear. I was around violence all my life, even in the household. My mom and dad violent with each other. The worst language that a kid could possibly hear, and some of the worst things that a kid could possibly see. Um, and I was abused by my mother, not sexually abused, but physically abused, because when my father wasn't there, she took things out on me. And so it was rough. And so this is what I took out in the street.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I took into the school. That the way I was treated, that's the way I treated people. Hurt people, hurt people.
Hurt people. So let's go a little deeper on that, because you hear nowadays where you're hearing about mental health, right?
Yes.
But it's almost like people are being groomed and shaped. It's no different than if you play football, you're taught to use that aggression and you're trained on how to use that aggression. So could you talk about the mental effect or the mental aspect on seeing the violence, being raised in it, how that kind of made you feel like, okay, this is an okay lifestyle?
All of us got emotions, and anger is one of them. And so if we saw our parents angry at home, and the way that they displayed their anger and the way they handled their anger and the way they resolved their anger was through violence, if that's all that you constantly see, if that's the way that somebody handles that emotion of anger, that's what's going to go into that child. Naturally, that's what's going to go into the child, because, our first teachers are at home, your mother and your father. And so everything that we see on the street today, brother, comes from the household. And some of us may not understand that when I'm at home and I'm on the phone and I'm cussing, but my kid is in the other room and he heard the kind of conversation that I'm having. He's listening. The stuff that I look at on TV, my child is going to be looking at the things that I look at, or how I respond to things on TV. When we are at home gossiping on the phone and talking about one another, our children hear and see these things. Or the violent talk that we have, I kill so-and-so, I do this to so-and-so. And our kids are taking this out in the street and performing these acts. And so, yes, I do know how this can affect a child mentally, because what we take in is what we're going to take out.
Yeah. So when you're talking about parenting, right, kind of break down the saying, because I'm pretty sure you've heard it too. Do what I say. Don't do what I do.
Yes.
You're not a grown up, so do what I say. Don't do what I do. So you're gonna continue to do that in front of the child, but now you're expecting them not to do that.
Exactly. And so, that's backwards. And so, we have a lot that we need to learn in our community as far as parenting aspects and dealing with the household, because a lot of us feel that the panacea is removing the child from the home and giving them sport and play and games and things to do for a few hours and send them right back into, excuse my language, but the hellhole that they came up out of. But we got to correct it inside the house. That's what we're missing. I was in awe, sir, when I saw the 2023-24 SOL scores here in Lynchburg. Lynchburg public schools are predominantly black. The public schools are predominantly black. And the black kids in these schools, whether they was 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th graders, was scoring at scores way below the national scores in reading, math, and science and everything else. But their counterparts who was not the dominant factor there, they scoring higher than them. The whites and the Hispanics are scoring higher than the blacks. So I can't blame the teachers. I can't blame the school system. I can't blame the school board. I got to look inside my house.
Yeah. So how important do you think the household is, knowing that you were, basically a product of your household? There's a lot of parents nowadays, they're getting younger.
Yes.
And they're still trying to live their life.
Yes.
While trying to raise a kid, quote unquote.
Yes.
So how did that shape your mind when you got to the point to say, you know what? It really starts in the home. It's not really all these outside factors, because if you don't get it right there, that opens up the door to outside access. So could you talk about that?
Well, I didn't recognize that until later on in years. I'm a father now. I have a 12-year-old, so I look at things differently now from a father aspect or a parent. And so I care about something that I produced and brought into this world. And so I got to look at not only myself, but the road that I want him to travel. And so the way that I put things into aspect now, I can see myself when I was the little boy and how I was treated. So I draw mine from that. So this real learning experiences, how do you want to raise your child? What do you want to, as far as educational wise? I know that every mother wants their child to learn something. So the mother would send the child to school, but they won't teach that. They won't do no teaching at home, because a whole lot of them, to go back to the SOL scores. Mm-hmm. If the child's scores are like this, just think about what are the parents' scores, if there was some scores done on them or their parents. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? So there's a cycle that we have not gotten into the households and broken yet. And so as you said, mothers and parents are becoming to be younger now. And so they don't know how to raise children. And so the TV is raising the child. Social media is raising the child. And so that's what we're seeing. So a rapper is raising your child, and the child is out in the street committing some of the most heinous crimes or being doing criminal conduct. Yeah. Because that's what they see on TV. And so we must protect the eyes and the ears of our children. And as I said, the only way, the thing that saved me, and it's sad to say it, was prison. That's what saved me. Prison saved my life. And I went in and I ended up spending 21 years in prison for a crime that I did not do, but the crimes that I did do, I never got caught for. And so you just never know what to come back around and hit you later on in life. And then these was the worst 21 years of my life, because it was like I went through a living hell every day just to stay alive. It was violence everywhere. And so that's the way that I was for the formative years of my life. You got to recognize I went into the prison system when I was 19, didn't get out till I was 39. So my brain was still developing. I still had that spongy brain that could take in anything. And so I was tried as an adult and put in with grown men. And so I was raised by pimps, hustlers, thieves. That's who raised me inside the prison. These kind of men raise young boys inside the prison because we want to emulate them, because we see them on the prison yard. The big muscle bound guy. Nobody messes with this dude right here because he's violent. So that's what we want to be in prison.
Yeah.
So that's what we look for when we go into prison, to turn into that. We saw one on the street, one wanted to be like him. That sent us to prison. Now we in prison wanting to be like the one that's on the prison yard. That's eventually going to lead us to the grave.
Yeah, so I do want to go back to the SOL conversation.
Yes.
But I do want to continue what you're saying, because it's almost like when the cycle is repeating itself, right? You're looking for the big homie, the big brother, right? When you're out in the street, like you said, in prison, then that same thing happens. So talk about the importance of like what is that search going on? Like what is happening? Because you see a lot of times where a lot of young black men, especially, we gravitate towards someone higher, whether that's an absence of a father, an absence of a leader. How does that impact that young man?
Well, statistics show that 75% of the households in this nation, 70%, in African American homes, the homes are led by a single parent. And so a young boy, if a mother is raising a young boy, she can only raise him to a certain extent, because his body is going to change. Everything is going to naturally change, but she is still treating him like that baby. And that father's not there. And so he's looking for, if he don't have a big brother that's a real big brother, he is going to be looking for that kind of big brother. And normally most of them will find it in a gang. There's no father. So, and then most of the leaders around here, even your pastors now, don't deal with the young kids on the corner. They don't deal with the young kids out here in the street. They don't deal with them. They look down at them. They'll walk by them. They don't speak to them. So the relationship between a man and a young boy is pretty much, in the African American community, it's almost non-existent.
Yeah.
And then when the ones that they do meet, it's these milquetoast type of men that they can't relate to. If you understand what I'm saying, the meek, weak type guys that they really can't relate to, or somebody that can provide them with some guidance and structure. So yes, that is missing. It has been missing in the home for a long time, and it's missing in our community. But they are in the community, and I'm gonna tell you who they are. The ones who are the mentors are the ones who probably have been to prison before, have failed out, had a hard time, and then they got back up and they got themselves back on their feet, but they don't have the time or the resources to really give back to the community. They more focused on themselves now, but they see it and they recognize it, and they know that was them, just like I recognize that was me. That's why I'm out here doing the things that I do, so that no kid will repeat what I did. And so I try to jump in the middle of it.
Yeah, now when you said like the milquetoast guys, I think I know what you're saying, but if you can explain that a little bit, like, because I think being young, I think I know exactly what you're saying. You have these guys that talk to you, but they're non-relatable.
Yes.
They're kind of talking over your head.
Yes.
It's nothing that you would aspire to be. Like, you don't seem like you're a real person.
Well, I'm gonna make it very clear. You got those in our community, what I would say, they are cowards. And what I mean by cowards, you are scared to even go amongst your youth that some of us then produce, and we are so afraid to go amongst them and talk to them and try to help them, but we'll talk about them. So I call them coward. They cowards, and that's the cleanest word that I can call it. And it's so sad, because when you walk by these young boys and you don't try to give them no guidance, and you walking around and you got your suit and your tie on and your briefcase, but you're too good to sit there and talk to these young men that you see that probably at the store that's up to no good. You can't stop your Mercedes-Benz right there and try to find out why you standing right here at 2 o'clock, young man. Do you need some help? You need some work? You looking for a job or something? So we don't have that in our community. So the young boys are staying right there. They would look down. They look down at. And it's so sad to say, city leaders and a whole lot of the pastors here in this city right here. The young boys do. The young adults do.
Yeah, so from your personal experience, actually being out in the field, talking to these young men,
yes,
how do they view when people try to come to them with programs and, you know, like the handout type of deal, or, you know, get your education? How do they view that type of message?
Well, from my experience of me being out there on the street, they look at this as somebody's trying to use them, not really help them. Because the first thing, and people must understand this, when you have a young man or a young adult that's out there on the street, and he's coming from a broken home, or he may not have a home to go to, he's not looking for a program. He's not really sometimes not looking for a church or anything like that. What they want is to hear about, how can you help me? And what they mean by how can you help, how can you put some money in my pocket so that I can end up doing something for myself? And so that's the first thing that I always do, is try to find out where they are at financially. Young man, are you looking for some work? Is there anything that you need? Because they'll feel better if you didn't help them ascertain a few dollars to put in their pocket, and they can sit down and talk to you. Look, man, I'm having a hard time. But they see that you care. You understand what I'm saying? So you got to take that time and deal with them. So my approach and our approach has always been meet them where they are at. So if I see some young boys standing in front of the store over there begging for money, I need to go over there as a man and find out what's going on with these young boys over here for asking for money. And so I go, hey, y'all looking for a job? You looking for? And most of them will say, yeah. And so normally we try to keep what we call petty cash, and we pay them and get them to clean up or do something like that. And I see this all the time. So what we've been doing is been helping these young men get jobs. So I've been fortunate to help 45 young men last year to get full-time jobs from just getting them from off the street. And they're working. The retention rate is 95%. I think only a few of them lost a job or didn't show up, but it's a 95% retention rate, and they doing great. They want to work. They want money in their pockets. Once you put some money in their pocket, they'll listen to you. You understand what I'm saying? So we got to get their attention. I can't get their attention with the Bible right now, because they can quote a rap better than they can the Bible scripture. They know the rapper better than they do the prophets in the Bible. Even though we need to bring that to them, but I need to get them to me to where I want them to listen to me. You understand what I'm saying? And so they listen to me, it's right, but I got them working, and while they working, I'm talking to them. Young man, what would you like to be? You know, and they'd be telling me things. Well, one guy was telling me that he wants to be an electrician, but he don't know how to go about being an electrician. But that is in his DNA, that he feels that he could be an electrician. So if we don't tap into these youth, how do we know what we're missing?
Yeah. Yeah, so when you talked about the SOL scores, I think you were pretty passionate. And to me, I didn't know that, right? Growing up in Lynchburg city schools, I know a lot of people didn't take those tests serious. So could you talk about the correlation between that statistic that you threw out there amongst the African-American kids and their scores versus what you're seeing and what we see on the news and in the streets?
Right, and this is real statistics. And if you all live here and are from Lynchburg, please do your research. And that's one thing I want to say very quickly. We have to be analytical, meaning that we must start thinking independently for ourselves. Don't allow somebody to speak for you or to think for you. We must individually think for ourselves, do our own investigation, and make a wise, intelligent decision for me, my family, and the community. That's how we're supposed to think. Don't just think that just because somebody said this that is true, or Google said this that is true, or the news said this and it's true. Do your own research. That's the most important thing. I'm not from Lynchburg, but I came and I did my research. So to get back to the schools, the SOL scores here, they're bad. They're really, really bad. And then when I hear the African American community, they argue about the schools, that they want to preserve the schools, and I don't think they're looking at the harm that's being done to the students, that they're not learning. And so I don't think they're not learning in the schools. As I said, it starts in the home. And so we got some bad kids coming out of our homes. I mean, some bad kids. And so you can just imagine that some of these school teachers who are not trained in conflict resolution or how to deal with some of these bad kids that we are making at home and sending to them that are unteachable. I was one of them. Unteachable. So you know what they'll do? Set them over in the corner somewhere, do something to make them be quiet or whatever, and pass them on. I was one of those pass-on students. At the 4th grade, I stopped learning. My attention was gone. I never focused on anything. And I went all the way up to, I think, the 9th grade before I was incarcerated. And then once I was incarcerated, that's when I started reading. I taught myself inside of a prison cell. So education is very important. To be able to read, in order to comprehend, you must be able to read. So therefore, we are deaf, dumb, and blind. Somebody can tell us anything that mislead us. You understand what I'm saying? And so if you look around the neighborhood, we've been misled. We've been misled. And so all of it falls into place, from the SOL scores, which means that we have uneducated young adults out here in the street that are non-productive. So they become criminals. Their way to live, to take care of themselves, is through what? Crime, not just violence, but crime. And so that's normally what? The drug trade, right? And so there's an influx of that, because that's how many young men that's out there that's unemployed, or unemployed because they got a criminal background, or they got this and they got that. And so all of these things are coming together, but it's starting still in the home, and then it's coming down through the schools. As they said that they can tell that by the 3rd grade who will end up in prison and who would not. Did you know that? They do statistics. They said that by the 3rd grade, they call it the prison, from school to prison pipeline, something like that. So in the 3rd grade, they said after they test these kids, they can pretty much tell in the 3rd grade where your brain development is, whether or not you're going to end up in prison.
So what's some of that criteria for that?
The criteria for what?
For the school to prison pipeline.
Well, basically, I guess the scoring, the way they got the scoring system set up or whatever, they can pretty much predict. I mean, think about it now. If you can't read, you can't comprehend nothing, how are you going to be productive? It's easy to say that this person is going to end up an alcoholic, on drugs, or in the crime. He's already in poverty. So it's easy to make that prediction. That's just like when a man gets out of prison, he's released from prison. He is energized, and he wants to come out here and I'm ready to go out to go to work, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the right thing, and then come out here and see that everybody shut the doors on them, even your pastors. Pastors now act like they don't even want an ex-offender to come around their church. You know? These supposed to be redemptive thinking people.
Yeah.
But they'll talk about you. And this is it's sick. Yeah. But this is what I see in our community. So it is not a village anymore, brother. It is not that's why we call it hood, because everybody is on their own. And so until we be able to bring the neighbor back into the hood, we're going to continue to degenerate. And so we need to start rebuilding our community. We need to start breaking down these cycles. And my reason for coming today to speak is just to put some truth out there, so hopefully I can touch somebody's brain cells to make them start thinking. And again, what I meant by the word milquetoast, basically, I did say a cow, but it's really just the proper definition is somebody who is weak-minded, kind of timid, soft type of person, not a man that's talking to somebody and with an authority type, not disrespectful, but you know what I'm saying, with some leadership skills, and say, hey, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to get it done, and that's the way that it is. You know what I'm saying? So we're dealing with the milquetoast, I call it like tap dance type, back scratching type person, and they not speaking for themselves, they speaking for somebody else and bringing it to our community. So I don't deal with that. Okay.
So from your past struggles, past experience, what lessons did you learn to help shape your conflict resolution that you brought to the community?
As I said, prison. I was very violent in prison. I used to fight a lot in prison. I stayed in segregation a lot in prison. And as I was telling you, I edified myself in prison. I got a GED while I was incarcerated. And while I was in, I read thousands of books. The Bible, the Holy Quran 2 or 3 times, the Torah 2 or 3 times. I used to be a walking, talking, quoting Bible. That's how spongy my brain was when I was young. And so anything that came to my cell, I read it. And then I got into studying law, and I like civil law. And then, as I said, I was very violent in prison, and my violence wasn't amongst other prisoners. My violence was towards prison guards because I thought they mistreated us. They violated a whole lot of people inside the prison, and they treated us just like we was a piece of trash. And that was the reason why I had looked upon, when I see people with a uniform on nowadays, I know how to deal with it now, but sometimes it still pushes like a little trauma at me. But I taught myself in there, and I became what they classified as a jailhouse lawyer. And I started filing lawsuits against the prison system. I was in the Virginia prison system at the time. And I was very good at what I did because a lot of them broke, as again, a whole lot of prison officials didn't know their own rules, didn't know the state law or the procedures so they just felt that they was in authority and they could treat you any kind of way that they wanted to. And I would tell them, no, you can't do that. That's a violation of so-and-so, a rule, this and that, and they didn't care. And so I had some very, very violent confrontations with prison officials. And one time they ran in my cell and jumped on me, almost killed me, and strapped me down to bed and left me strapped to bed for 4 days, made me defecate on myself. Like bugs was attacking me while I was restrained to the bed, almost killed me, and I sued them. And I won the lawsuit. And so they started transferring me around to different prisons, and I just kept on filing lawsuits. And then eventually they sent me out of state to Illinois prison system, hoping that I would have got killed because it was, that state out there was infested with gangs. From your vice lords, your GDs, your BDs, every type of gang name that there was. That's where I lived with for the next 11 years in the state of Illinois. I went to every maximum security prison in the state of Illinois. And by the grace of God, I didn't have no situations out there. I was a legal guy, and I practiced my religion, and my prison stay wasn't bad out there, but I've had some very, very, very violent episodes inside the prison. When I turned 19, when I first went into prison, that following year, I saw my first murder right in front of my eyes. And I've seen like 5 or 6 men just get killed right in the prison. Some on the prison yard get stabbed. Just so much violence when I was in there. And I tell these young guys, now, this is not nowhere you want to be at. You'll kill out here, somebody gonna try to kill you in there. And so we need to wake up and recognize that this is not the road that you want to take. And I'm a living witness to tell you that I did 21 years in there the hard way, not the little easy way. These guys go in and out, in and out, in and out. I went in one time to the maximum security prisons, and this is somewhere that nobody wants to go.
So going through that, seeing what you saw in the system, in the street, until you got to the system, how did you develop that mindset where you're like, this is it for me? I want to change.
Right. And that happened in prison also because, as I said, I used to be very violent, and then I stopped because in some of my lawsuits, they used to bring up my violence, and that prevented me. It's sad to say that's the reason why I stopped doing violence, but I stopped being violent towards them because it was affecting my lawsuits. And so I stopped being violent. And then once I saw that I could beat them without being violent towards them, I was like, man, I'm flexing now. Like, I just beat them with my brain.
Yeah.
And that's what I had started doing. And so I took that concept still, is that we must start thinking. So I put that into practice, that you got to start thinking before reacting. I had an officer come to my cell door one day, and he said, you know what, Hunter? You are a smart guy. He said, but anybody can wake you up by saying something, and you'll just go off and get violent, and they know how to get you or provoke you, easily provoke you, push your buttons. That's what he used. And as soon as he said that was the same day, and I cussed him out. But he was so right though. What he was saying to me was so right, and I took it in, but I just acted like I, nonchalantly did, and then cussed him out. But that was my behavior during the time. But I took all of the discipline that I had in prison. Also, I used to be a minister in the Nation of Islam for 3 years, and so I took this discipline that I knew how to practice and started utilizing it, and I've been utilizing it ever since. And so when I came out of prison, I didn't jump straight into conflict resolution, or I didn't know what my path was. You got to recognize I got locked up when I was 17. I didn't get out until I was 39. So when I got out, I've never had to pay a bill before in my life. So this was a new world. Never used a cell phone before. Brand new world. And so, like I said, I went in 1987 and came out in 2007. And so I came out to a brand new world, and my first job I ever had was at Burger King. And I think during that time I was making like $7 to $8 an hour. But to me, it was being locked up all that many years. I mean, I'm doing it. They was working me too, man. Had me load them big trucks and whatnot. They they worked me, but I enjoyed it. And so when I was out, I would see people come in dressed. I was like, man, I want to do something different. I don't want to stay right here. So I was asking people what was they doing and this. But, I had a criminal background. And I did this. What the wake-up call was when I went to start looking for better employment. That's when that background started hitting me. And so the reality was, okay, this is the real deal right here. This background has put a glass ceiling over top of my head. What am I gonna do?
So what was the mindset when you realized that? Because I know you were young, right? Even though you were 39 when you got out.
Yes.
So you're kind of still young in the mind because you're getting out. When you went out thinking, okay, now I can go back, get my life together. When you first realized when that light bulb went off, like, man, like what I did in the past has really affected me. Like, what is that mindset like? Is it hard to accept? Like, how do you move forward with that?
Well, when you're young, it says that your brain does not fully develop until the age of 25. And so when you going through and you reach maturity, as you young man, as you go through life, you're going to continue to mature. At 40, you're not going to think as you did when you was 30. At 50, you're not going to think as you did. So as we grow wiser naturally. So my thinking process was I had to decide what it was I wanted to do so that I could stay out here in society and be productive. And so I had to started using my brain, my skills that I learned while I was in prison. And so the thing was this, what kind of job do I want? Do I need to go to school to elevate my education in it so I can get a better job or what? See, all of these things came into my mind, but the reality still was I was labeled as a sex offender. That made it even worse. And the reality with that is tremendous, man, when you coming out here after 21 years and you're not recognizing that they got you registered as something that you can't go around this place, that place, you can't work here. And nobody wants to hire somebody who has a background like that, even though you was a juvenile. Mm-hmm. So that was the reality of it with me. Everybody's situation is different. But I was reflecting back on still when I was younger, I could see the younger me now. As the grown, mature man, I could see the young, misguided Shawn. Mm-hmm. He was very lost and misguided, very troubled young kid. I can see him now. And so when somebody speaks about Shawn Hunter, about his past, they are speaking about a child. I have not been convicted of any crimes since I've been an adult, and I don't plan on getting convicted of or doing any kind of criminal acts. So when somebody speaks on my background, they are speaking about a child, what a child did, with an undeveloped brain he got caught up in. And so it's so unfortunate that we run, and your question basically was, you run into these situations, and you got to think about how you're going to deal with it. So anybody who has a criminal background is going to have difficulties trying to get a job into somebody else's company and really be a asset unless they really, really got some skills. But just coming out and with these little entry-level jobs and things like that. And so we got to start, even when we come out, get a trade or learn something. I went back to school academically and got me a degree. Since I've been out of prison and I graduated, I'm proud of myself. I graduated with a 3.9 GPA out of a community college. And I had never typed before. I had to take typing class. I had to take all kinds of different kind of classes, public speaking, things I had never done before. But I went through, disciplined myself, and went through 2 summers and a half and got me my degree. And I felt so good about it. I hang it on my wall now. When people come in my office, I classify that when I'm sitting in my seat, that's my crown that goes around the wall, my degrees and my certificates. I'm proud of that because that's hard work. That's work that signifies what you did, not as a team, but what you did yourself. And so I commend everyone. And so that's what I really, really try to push, this educational thing. And it's very important because if we are not educated, we don't even know that we can develop to be whatever. And so it hinders us in a lot of ways. And so that makes us go to people with a handout. Nobody owes us nothing. And that's one thing that we need to understand, that God put all of us here in this big earth so that we can till and go through this earth and do the things and build and build home for ourselves and be productive people. But you don't see in the animal kingdom, let's say, for instance, you don't see a lion asking a tiger, give me some food. You got to go and get your own food. You don't see a white bird asking a black bird, give me your worm. You got to go and get your own worm. And so if you put that in the aspect of us as people, who are the ones that mostly got their hand out all the time? And I can speak to us like that because we need to stop it. And nobody wants to speak the truth because what? It hurts. But we need to stop it, Lynchburg. We need to go out here. We need to build our community up. We need to clean it up. We know who's out here doing this shooting and this silly mess around in our cities, and we need to stop it and clean it up in a nutshell. And so we can play all the games that we want and talk with no action, and it'll stay the way that it is. But we're going to have to get out here and deal with our youth. And ourselves out here to make our community better. There's no way that I can go downtown and somebody downtown is going to do for me what I need to be doing for myself. They're not going to be mean to you. They're going to smile at you and nod and yes and everything, but they're not going to do nothing for us until we start doing something for ourselves. And that's the way that it's supposed to be. And so until we do that, we're going to continue to allow people to come into our community, brother, and open up these little hood stores and sell us bad food, bad meat, outdated chewing gum, freezer burned ice cream, freezer burned meat, and we're gonna buy it and make them rich. We are the #1 consumers, not only in Lynchburg, but in this country. And don't own nothing but barbershops and churches.
Of other people's product.
That's it. And it's sad, and I'm tired of it. And so I got to come and speak the truth. I mean, whatever it brings to me, it got to come to me, but I spoke it, and that's my job. I had a wise man tell me one time, brother, he said, one day truth and the lie went swimming. And so when they went out there into the pond to go swimming, the truth went out a little bit further. And then once the lie saw that the truth went out further, the lie swam back to the bank and got the truth clothes and put the truth clothes on and started running. And so when the truth saw that, the truth started swimming back to the bank and chased them, but the truth was naked. So the naked truth was chasing the well-dressed lie, and when he caught up to him, he took his clothes off him and exposed him that he was a liar.
Wow.
So that's, a wise man told me that story one time. That was beautiful,
itself.
And it stayed with me.
That's a podcast within itself.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But it's just amazing, I think, when you break it down like that, because I think now, even in the work industry, right, without a criminal background, without a record, education is the piece that people can use to discriminate against you if they choose to.
Yes.
And so it's like, without the education piece, you'll pay for it at some point in time. Could you talk about the importance of that?
Education is so important. As I said, me myself, I was passed along, and it's so unfortunate. Never forget. I was in the 7th grade, and we had a graduation, and everybody was called to get their certificate, and it was rolled up with a little ribbon on it. And when we got back to our seat, people was opening their certificate, and mine was just a blank sheet of paper.
Mm.
And so afterwards, I went back to see the teacher to say, man, why did I get a blank sheet of paper? And she said, oh, don't worry about it. You still passed. And that's all as a kid I wanted to hear. And so when I had to go home and explain it to my mom, they didn't understand it, but they didn't check into it either.
Yeah, because you still passed.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So education, I don't think that my mom, I don't know how far my mom went in school. I don't know how far my father went in school. But I'm sure that they was somewhat where my father used to read all the time, but I'm for sure there was somewhat some type of illiteracy there. And so me, myself, I probably, brother, wouldn't have gotten to where I am at right today on the reading level if it wasn't for me being incarcerated in the prison. But education is so important. And I push this at my son. My son right now, he speaks French, Spanish, and English, everything fluently. Even though his mother is Haitian, and so he automatically knew French and Creole. But we got to prepare our kids for this shrewd, rude world of greed that they are growing up in, and they must be protected. And the way that they can be protected is by having some education and knowing how to think and knowing. So just like when police officers are in training, they're getting educated, they're getting trained in a specific manner. And so once they run into certain situations, they go back on their training. This is the same process that's supposed to be taught at home. So even a little girl, she should be taught how to deal with a young boy if he's pulling up on her in a certain kind of way. She can reflect back on her training that her mom gave her or her dad gave her. You understand what I'm saying? So we don't do this in the house. So as I said, and it's so sad, and you got to go back to slavery also. 3 things that the slave master never taught the slave was the science of mating, the science of business, and the science of warfare. The science of warfare is to take care of your own. Whatever you create, you build you something to take care of it. And if you have to go to warfare, you got to fight. You see America, they go to different countries, they do this, they do that. So you got to have warfare. The science of mating, meaning that you meet you a nice lady who you feel that you all want to come together and procreate, and make a family, produce a family that you can pass down generation to generation, not of poverty, not of ignorance, but producing something that may, as you pass it down, it'll pick up each level. Every generation that comes is going to pick up, not degenerate. So that is the science of mating. And the science of finance, where we don't have nothing like no economics. There's no economic push on us to where we are going to city council and say, hey, city council, we want to get this lot of land zone for this business that we getting ready to open up. We're gonna this Emerald Palace restaurant that this soul food restaurant, this laundromat that we getting ready to open up. Things that we supposed to have in the Black community anyway. We don't participate in that type of activity. So if you don't know the science of these things, you're gonna be reckless. So therefore you see the Black men running out having babies everywhere. Okay, economically, we are nowhere. Okay, the science of warfare, we fear everybody except ourselves. So we're the number 1 killers of each self. And after I can shoot you and kill you, and the police can come around the corner and I turn around and let them handcuff me. But I done killed you for something stupid. And the police can get you and slam your face all on the car, anything, but you would submit to them peacefully. So this is something psychologically that has been embedded in us for a long, long time. And so if you ever heard or read the Willie Lynch letters,
Yeah.
you'll see that how he told them how to turn the slaves against each other. the light skin against the dark skin, the smart against the dumber ones. That's going on right today. So, they'll pick a few so-called city leaders and they'll get connected to downtown. And you'll see them always in the politics, but they're not politicians. But they're always in it. So these are hand-picked city leaders who are really the gatekeepers of the city, which is preventing the city from moving forward, particularly our communities from moving forward or even growing. And that is what's going on, that old mindset. So you'll see that most churches around, and I have nothing to get, I love church. I grew up in the Church of God in Christ. But when I see people constantly uttering praises to God and practicing something totally different that won't even sit down with me. So how can I come to your church and think that I'm going to get some type of blessing or some type of spiritual word or inspiration when you won't even talk to me in private because of my background from when I was a child, or somebody don't like me downtown, so you don't like me now. So something is wrong with that kind of process in our community. Brother, we are the number one murderers, rapers, robbers of each other. The number one. When immigrants come to this country and they see opportunity, they see opportunity in our neighborhood. We don't have no stores that we can shop with, so we'll watch them build. Oh, what they building over there? Oh, they get ready to build a smoke shop so that you can kill yourself on cancer. Oh, they get ready to build this gambling spot over here so that you can be stupid and get off work and know you scrambling and go in there and lose your money, then want to go home and argue with your wife because you lost your money. Now there's domestic abuse. So there's so many, everything that we do, it just seems like it's degenerative.
Yeah, liquor
it's
stores.
Nothing productive. So even though they did open up a smoke shop or a liquor store or whatever, who are the ones that buy from these stores? We do. And there's nothing wrong. I understand they got a living to make too, but I'm trying to take care of our community. I want our community to be healthy. And once we're healthy, we can think differently. Our kids over here buying vapes all day long and paying people to go in the store to buy them alcohol and sex pills and this and that and the other, all this stuff. Why is all of this filth in our community? We got the right to say, no, I don't want this smoke shop here. No, I don't want this over here. Go to city council to where people that live in neighborhoods that they care about, they speak out. We don't want this. We take anything that comes. We take anything that come here. They can come up here and just make it a trash dump over there. We don't care.
But do you think people take anything that come, or the lack of education on how to shut it down? Like, what is your thoughts on that?
Lack of education is the biggest hindrance, I think, in this city. Brother, the SOL score speaks for itself. So when you got scores that say that they are reading beneath the national reading levels, beneath the level of national math levels and other levels, if they don't pick up, where they gonna stay at? So what happens is this: I think they said like 70-something% of African Americans are on the free food program here. 70-something%. So this shows that it's the poverty of these students that are coming to the school. What are they being fed at home? I remember when I was a kid, even though I said I acted up, when we acted up at school, your teacher would call home to the house and ask the parent, can we do a house visit? You know why they wanted to do a house visit? They want to see the environment that that kid is in. They want to have that intimate talk with a parent. I don't even know if they do that anymore. But the school teacher used to visit the parent, the house.
I remember that.
I remember because my mom would try to get the house clean and this, that, Yeah. And so, but if they don't do that no more, they need to bring that back, because once you see what is going on inside the household, the way they're living and whatever else, maybe we can give these certain households that need that kind of help, the help that they need. But we need to get in there and offer incentives to the parents. So if the child is grade skills are that low, and we know where it's coming from home, we need to get with the parents also to set some incentive with them. Me personally, I just feel that, it needs to be some incentive as far as getting your GED, some incentive to a door of opportunity being open to go into a community college, or an incentive to go into some type of trade school. But at the same time, some parenting classes. We just got to sacrifice it. May have to spend money for them to come to these classes. But once we plant the seed in, and we know the seed has been in there, I'd rather spend money on that than to give it to go and buy toys and games and whatever. I'd rather have them do that. The reason why they use the word recreation, brother, is to wreck the creation. It's too much play. It's too much fun, sport, and play. And a bicycle is not the panacea to none of this. I can understand giving the bicycles to the little young kids that's under 12, but when they turn 13, we need to start getting them career-oriented. We need to start exposing them to the realities of the real world. But this sport and play thing is not going to work. And this thing of pulling the kids out of the houses don't work. You need to pull the whole family and deal with the whole family. We got to deal with families, not just the kids. The kids cannot correct nothing. The parents have to correct behavior that's being produced inside the household. And some of them don't even know what kind of behavior that they are exhibiting. So we got to get inside of these houses, I think, and that's where we make the investment. And again, brother, that's what we got to invest in.
Okay. So when it comes to your past legal issues, for misconduct or whatnot, how has that experience shaped your view on rehabilitation for other folks?
I think that anybody who commits a crime, you got to be held accountable for, regardless of what age. The problem that I have is that we know that some of these juveniles are coming out and they are committing some of the most heinous crimes that we have ever, and violent crimes, from murder, just violence. But we cannot put them in there with adults. You can't put a 16 in with a grown, you ruin them. And so I consider myself a victim of the judicial system. They took me as a child and tried me as an adult with no compassion, none whatsoever, and just threw me into a prison system. It's only the grace of God, brother, that I sit in front of you today. I supposed to have been dead. And I know this. And so it's very important that, again, we have to protect our kids, what they see and what they listen to. When I was in prison, I used to pray all the time, and I asked God one time, why? Why, God? Why did you allow me to get locked up for this stuff that I'm locked up for, which was a sexual offense? Why? I don't do no stuff. I've never harmed a woman or a girl or a child. I've never done no stuff like that. Never. I've been violent, never towards a woman. But why did you allow me to get incarcerated for some stuff like this? I used to pray all the time inside the prison. When I was at home one day and I was in college, and my spirit spoke to me, which we say God spoke to you because I believe that the Spirit of God dwells in all of us. But my spirit spoke to me, and my spirit spoke to me, and this was the answer. They said, I allowed this to happen to you so that I can show my power through you. This is what my spirit told me. This was before I even started doing any kind of community work. Like I said, I was in college during the time. And since then, I can say that God revealed to me that he allowed me to go through this furnace so that I could come out a shiny sword for him to do the work that I do to try to prevent any other things to these young men happening that I went through. I can speak it. I can passionately speak it. I'm not afraid of them. I don't go to them like I'm some type of aggressive gorilla, but I go to them as a big brother and speaking nothing but the truth to them, letting them know, man, I love you, brother. And they know that it's for real. And I want to do anything that I can to stop you from going that direction that I went in, because you can't do what I did, or you probably won't even make it through like I did. And so I know what my purpose is. It's not because I want to do this, but That's the lane that God allowed me to go through to be in. And so for those who don't understand the work that I do, it's not of me. And so the things that you see manifest around me is not of me. But God works through me, and he picked me from the least of thee. I'm from the trenches. I'm from the ones that the preachers don't want to deal with. I'm the ones that they talk about, but we need help too. I may talk kind of loud, but it's just the passion that's in me, you know. And I'm so sincere. I want everybody to thrive. I want us to be able to live a good quality of life. I want this, not just talking it, but so that's why I'm out here doing the things that we do, trying to make our community safer, cleaner, more economically sound. And we can save this little city. And only thing we got to do is deal with our youth. They want to work. They want to be paid. And so we put them to work, have them cleaning the community up, revitalizing these houses. And man, we can do some things, right? Open up a laundromat, open up a beauty supply store. And I was just upset, and it's not racist or anything, but you know, I like to use cocoa butter cream and various creams on my bald head and my skin and whatnot. I try to take care of myself. Every store I went to was to buy African American products, Korean. Mm-hmm. We got a plethora of barbershops around here, but the Koreans sell us our beauty supplies. Does that look kind of backwards?
Yeah.
So that's not racism. It's just about we need to start doing for ourselves. Family, the churches, all these churches around here, if they come together, they can open up a First Baptist grocery store that's going to sell fresh meat, good stuff, and people coming in and got the right kind of spirit, something clean and fresh. The restaurants we walk in, clean, it's what we want. So when you look in the hood store and you see the alcohol that they selling us, you see the bad food that they selling us, you see the sex pills and vapes and everything that's degenerative that they sell us, and they have some games over there so they can take your money that's already been set that nobody can win. So the thing is that once we recognize this and say, hey man, let's do our own thing. Why we can't do this? Why we can't pool our resources together and do this? And so when we talk unity, a lot of us, we think that everybody has to come together, but everybody don't. If we just get some like-minded people, we'll be okay. If you get 20 to 30 people in this small town with a vision, and they got a leader that will push them to make that vision manifest, because I have a vision for this city. I have a vision for our neighborhoods. I have a vision that we're going to stop calling our neighborhood hood. We're going to put the neighbor back in it. We're going to know who lives next door to you. We're going to protect our women. We're going to protect our children, what we're supposed to do. And so us as men, we got to take back our streets. You can't rely on one person to think that they can do something for you. Downtown, they to be utilized the way they are designed to be utilized, but they are not utilized to come here and take care of us. The police have a job to do. They do a great job. I see them all the time. Their job is to serve and protect. They can't serve nobody nor protect anyone if we in our community hiding criminals. They can't do nothing. They don't live here. They don't live on our street. So men need to recognize that anytime that somebody comes on your street and shoot a gun, whether it's in the air or in somebody's house, that they have violated every home on that street. They have violated every family on that street, and he or she is not welcome on that street no more. We can't have this in our neighborhoods. Period. Life is valuable. It's so short, but it's valuable. And so many mothers mourn. The women mourn worse than the men do, the women do. They are hurting in this city. They reach out to me all the time. Shawn, can you help me with my 17-year-old? Shawn, can you help me with my 16-year-old? And sometimes, a whole lot of times, I refer them to who the city got classified as the city leaders. They don't reach back out to these kids. They don't reach back out to me. And it's sad, but they'll get on here and talk about unity. It's better together. But we don't see nobody. So it's so sad, and that's the way that it is here. I'm not a resident here, but it's just so sad what I see going on here. But it can be rectified, and we can be saved, and we can thrive, and we can make a Black Wall Street on Park Avenue. We can make a Black Wall Street on 12th Street. There are so many things, so many opportunities for us to do if we'll just put our differences to the side and focus on saving our community, saving ourselves, saving our families, and working towards a common goal. See, that's one thing that white people do. They could disagree, but they will work together for the betterment of whatever it is that they're trying to do for their community. And so we need to practice that same type of attitude. We need to practice that.
You're right. I agree. So when you look at the mistake that happened that put you in prison, like what story can you tell from that? Someone that's watching this doesn't repeat that same cycle.
When you're young and you're out and you can easily be influenced to do bad things, and you think bad things is being cool because everybody is doing it. Everybody has a gun now. Everybody has this, and this is the style to walk with my pants down. Be different. Be the person that don't have the gun. Be the person that don't smoke weed. Be the person that's not out here chasing the women and stuff like that. And so, me again, if there was guidance, if I had parents that was guiding me and pushed me in a direction, I didn't have no direction. I had to create my own direction. And me being a child with an undeveloped brain led me straight to the prison with an undeveloped brain. So I just say that anybody, before you do anything wrong, just know there's only two things that can happen to you. That's either going to jail or going to the graveyard. And we don't have to indulge in crime to live. We don't have to indulge in violence to make our point. We can live, we can be productive. So I just ask everyone who is looking at this podcast, if you're having any issues, you can come and see me. And we could talk about it. I always try to help young men and young women find jobs, housing. We've been fortunate to even get some of the young men into jobs at correctional facilities. And so that's been beautiful. Jobs for the city. And so I just wasn't, my crime, the sex crime that I want to say this and make it clear too. The sex crime that I was charged with, I was innocent. It was three of us. Nobody got raped or anything like that, but it was aggravated sexual assault that had something to do with touching, and we was drinking and dancing and touching and doing stuff, but there was no rape or anything like that. And so I was innocent of the crime, but we was afraid. We was young. And so we pled guilty. I pled guilty to 25 years in prison. So you know something I couldn't have been thinking. I pled guilty to 25 years in prison. I would have done that nowadays. I wouldn't have done no stuff like that. Not knowing my rights, not knowing what was going on, but it was out of fear. So you have like 90% of young men, when they get caught doing something, they just don't want to sit in the jail to take a plea bargain. I pled guilty and we had a paid lawyer. So I wasn't thinking. And so if I would have knew what I had to go through, they put me on that sex offender registry for a long time. I'm off of it now, which is great, but they had put me on that too also. So, I was on the sex offender registry. So anybody, I'm telling you, you get out here and you catch these felonies, you're going to be sorry. And I have people that call me right today, oh, I caught a felony and I'm having difficulty getting jobs. This is reality, people. This is reality. If you catch a felony, it hurts you. I don't care if it's a drug charge or something violent, it hurts you, so stay away from it. That's all I can say. Stay away from it, because if not, only thing you're doing is just going to create and make your life harder. If you don't have no skills, your life will be hard.
Wow. That's a lot to unpack.
Yes, it is.
Definitely a lot to unpack, because I think when you look at how the youth is pulled in the street, just how you were in talking, no one tells you that aftermath. No one explains you like the details of what you saw in prison. No one, tells you like the graphic stories. So as we get towards the end of the interview, could you talk about that? So just to give those young folks that are like dibbling and dabbling that are watching this podcast, just a sneak peek into like what the reality is of some of these situations.
Yeah. Well, the reality of prison is real. You will be locked up in the cell for long periods of the day, and you may be in the cell with another guy that you don't like, that you don't want to get along with. And so you're in a cell with another man, and you're gonna have to be in there while he's using the bathroom, or he's pooping or peeing. So you're going to be dealing with each other's bodily functions all day long. And so it's a horrible thing. And the food in there is horrible and nasty. You don't know what you're eating. But if this is the lifestyle that some of you all want to choose, I nobody wants it, because I've seen the biggest ones in there, the big muscle bound guys that sit in there and cry and they wish they was out right today. I've seen some men that are in prison that went in there when I did and that are still in there right today, that I grew up in prison. I never thought I was going to see daylight again because, I was one of those type of revolutionary type guys inside of those prison walls. And it became a city to me. And I just got transferred to different towns. I just moved to different towns because that's where I grew up at. I grew up in prison. Right today, there is a code inside the prison that I can say when I was there was a code that was inside the prison, and those codes would follow. You didn't disrespect nobody in prison. Another man, you didn't disrespect nobody. You didn't call them out their name. You could die. You could die for calling somebody a snitch. You could die for calling somebody homosexual. Or whatever. You could die for just saying stuff out of your mouth. So it's so the atmosphere, the environment is dangerous. The same way that black men kill each other out here, we kill each other just the same way inside the prison. It's no difference. They kill inside the prisons. You don't hear about that on the news. Or a prisoner got killed, but they die in there just about every day. Somebody getting stabbed, something violent. That's why now they lock everybody in cells and it's controlled movement. So these young guys is going in there now, pretty much they're going to be, especially if you're going in for something violent or murder or something like, they're going to put you in a prison with that's all that's there. Murderers and rapists and stuff like that. And they will prey upon each other. They will find out who the weak ones are. You know what I'm saying? They will extort you. And so this is what, especially in Virginia, people that go in there for murder charges, it's rough. Because if they got families that's in any prison system in Virginia, it's already been put out there what prison you in. And you're going to become a target. And so that's how you're going to live the rest of your life out there. So I would just hope and pray that before you pull that trigger, that you start thinking, if you got somebody that you love, if you love your freedom, if you love your child or whatever, I think if it shouldn't be worth nothing to pull that trigger other than if it's for to pull the trigger to save your life. But this stuff that is going on out here in our streets today, we classify it as what it is, senseless violence. It don't make no sense at all. And then once you go to court and you hear about what it was about, it's a life was lost behind stupidity or because somebody couldn't control their anger.
Yeah.
Somebody owes somebody some money, which you can get that back. If somebody owes you some money, let them go. Just don't deal with them no more. But we need to start with this gun violence. We are destroying our community. Black men are dying at a rate like never before. And our women are getting tired of us. We're supposed to be protectors and providers of our women and our children, and we are being murderers of our children and our women. We're killing our babies and the women, and it's sad.
So as we come to an end, like people that watch this podcast and they feel like, I want to get behind this brother's vision. I want to support him. Tell them, how can they reach you?
Yes, you all can support us. You go to our Facebook, Lynchburg Peacemakers, and we have Cash App, we got PayPal and other ways that you can donate. And I want you all to know that when you do donate to the Peacemakers, that 100% of what you give us go back into the community, whether it was paying a young kid to do some work out in the street, or we are buying cameras to install on domestic violence victims' homes, the elderly homes. It is so sad that we have to get out here to protect our own community from ourselves. And so if we continue to prey upon ourselves, not in a spiritual aspect, but prey upon ourselves is like we want to do harm to one another, we are going to continue to degenerate, we're going to continue to die, and we're going to continue to see funerals. Nobody can save us but us. And that's sad to say it, but that is so true. Nobody can save us but us. The police can't save us. The city council can't save you. It takes us. Anytime we decide to put our foot down and say enough is enough, ain't no more killing going on in my streets, we're going to start building in our streets. If you have that type of mentality, it can stop just like that. But we have to put it in ourselves that this is what we want. And so I'm asking that Lynchburg come together, not only rally behind me, but rally behind other organizations that are really doing the work, that's getting out in the streets and not just talking about it. I tell you all the time, whenever you hear a word, the word may sound good. If you don't see no action, the word was meaningless. And so when I speak, action gonna come behind it. And I'm here for a purpose. I'm here for a mission. And I don't let nobody put no glass ceilings over my head. I don't care if I was convicted of whatever. I'm out here. I'm a free man, and I'm going to live like a free man. And I want to elevate and excel as far as God would allow me to do it. And that's what I want everybody to do. And so don't think that just because you got a criminal background that you can't do for yourself. Yes, you can. I'm a prime example. If I can be labeled a sex offender, and I've had corporate jobs paying $65,000, $70,000 a year, and I can still go back out there and find these jobs. Nobody can tell me what you can't do, because you can do it. And so let's not let somebody subliminally seduce us to think that we're nothing. You are something. I don't care if you can read or write or nothing. You still got life in your body, and there's a spirit in your body that we can do good. And so that's what I try to push. It's not all about the peacemakers. The peacemakers are here for a reason. And maybe just for a season, who knows? But we are here for a reason, and I hope that the seeds that we plant get cultivated, and that they multiply, and that we get out here and we start doing something for ourselves. And that's what it's all about. Working with one another, you'll see that white people will respect you, the police will respect you, your city council will respect you if you're doing business. Do good business. Help one another. That's why when you see the immigrants that come in, they help one another. One brother help another brother open a store. The Mexicans, people make fun of them. They on the roof building houses, but they building around our community. We sitting on the porches looking. We're not doing nothing. We're not building. And they coming in our community buying these little homes for a little bit of nothing, when we should be revitalizing them, getting our women out of their projects and putting them in homes where they got a front yard where the kids can play at. These are our neighborhoods. But only thing that seems like we want to do around here in Lynchburg is make historic Renaissance signs on the streets, that this was once an African-American predominantly street at one time. So-and-so lived here one time, and so-and-so lived. Man, come on, we got too many. I've never been in a town with this many historic streets. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we got to do better, brother. And so that's what it's all about. So we want to come together and revitalize our neighborhood. Let's work on some economic development. Let's get the men together and let's work on some safety issues around our neighborhood. We can create jobs. You don't have to wait on nobody.
Yep.
You know, that governor, when he comes here, the Governor Youngkin, when he comes here, he don't come and speak to our community. He speaks to the community of Liberty and them colleges out there for jobs for them. He not speaking to the hood about no job for us. We got to do this for ourselves, man. And once we recognize this, we're better. And it's not you disliking nobody or it's a racial thing. And so that's where the controversial come in. I always say controversy means to go against. Versy means the popular version. I'm not going to follow anyone's version. What God give me, that's what I'm going to put out there. You know? And so we got to do what is best for us. As I said, for yourself, for your family, for your community. Are the people that you are voting in office, are they doing anything for you, your family, or the community? If they're not, why are you voting them in? And then complain about them. Ward 2 has been a food desert for 8 years. But they can open up a smoke shop. We need to smoke, I guess. That's going to feed us. Death. They can open up a liquor store. That's going to feed us. Death. But we can't even have a fresh produce, nobody pushing for us. Going to city council. If you look at the city council meetings every week, brother, you will see people go there about things that they want in their neighborhood, things that they want in their community. They want stores, they want this, they want that. We don't do it. And it's sad. And I'd be attacked for even saying this, but it is what it is. The truth hurts. Let it fall where it may. And one thing I've always been told, and one thing we know that is a fact, you can tell a tree by the fruit that it bears, brother. Look around this city right here. What kind of fruit are we bearing? And in that, I'll leave it at that.
So as we end the episode, Shawn, I want you to look in your camera, and I want you to speak to that young girl or that young man that you're trying to reach that may be like you were back in the day.
Yes.
Take about one or 2 minutes and just give them a good message.
I just want you all to know that Shawn loves you. I've endured a whole lot in my life, physically and mentally. I'm still here. And, I've risked my life every day to speak this truth, to get us out of the situations that we are in. I ask all of you young people that if you're having a difficult time, whatever it may be, please come and see me. I'm not saying that I can answer all things, but give me the opportunity to try to help you. We want to make our community safe, and I want to help all of you to find decent paying jobs and live a comfortable life. Life is short, and we shouldn't be living in the aspect of where we hating our neighbor and hating each other. We need to be working together and doing things in our communities that's going to be uplifting. I respect that, a lot of us around here, we talk God and everything, but I'm not seeing it. And this is supposed to be a Christian city. We can do better. If we're Christians, we can do better. If we talk about Jesus Christ and we want to follow his ways and whatever, we let's follow it. And if we follow him, you're going to look out for your brother and you're going to look out for your sister. But young man and young woman, just know that we are here for you, and I hope and pray to God that you will come and see me and allow us to help you. Thank you.
Thank you, Shawn. We appreciate having you today on the Art of Reinvention Show on behalf of TeflonJohn and my brand. Appreciate you taking out the time, bringing us to the Lynchburg Peacemakers headquarters. If you can tell where we're at, the address, in case somebody wants to drop by and talk to you.
1601 12th Street. We're in the historic area, Pierce Street. 1601 12th Street. Come and visit us anytime.
Okay. Well, we thank you for today, taking time out your busy day. I know you got a couple events coming up.
Yes.
Any events that you have coming up over the next couple months that you want to talk about?
Well, we're planning on doing some more barbershop talks. We're going to keep that going, trying to keep these barbershop talks consist of bringing people in to connect them with jobs, programs, trades, different things. We're not talking about hair, but just about jobs and things. Also, we're going to have the neighborhood walks. We're going to talk about bringing the neighbor back in the hood. And so this is going to be a day where we go to certain streets and we're going to have residents. We're going to have a cookout on the street and you're going to meet your neighbor. So we try to build that bond and create community watch programs on our streets and making them safer and learn your community, know who's around, Miss Mabel, Miss Thompson, whatever, the elder people that are around sitting on their porch. As I said, we got a duty to protect our women, children. We got a duty to do it and we're not doing it.
Gotcha. Okay, well, that's this episode. And like I said, I appreciate you guys for supporting, appreciate you guys for watching. But as Shawn said, it takes us together. So I hope you're getting the message together. Shawn's a lot, with just being direct, speaking the truth from his point of view. And I think that we have to listen and take in what he's saying because you're seeing the evidence out here, right? You're seeing violence. You're seeing that our youth are, is being attacked by the media, by any means, social media. So it's up to us to really start in our homes. If you're a parent, grab your kids, tell them how much you love them and really have a conversation and see what are they up to? What are they doing, right? So just want to end the episode with that. And I just want you guys to think this is really the purpose of reinvention, and it's an art to it. And I really want you guys to think about how can we rebuild the Black community? How can we rebuild the community that you actually live in and that you take part of? And as I always say, one love, but it's your choice to be blessed. Thank you.
All right, brother.
Hey, what's up? It's your boy TeflonJohn, and I would like to personally thank you for listening to this episode of the Art of Reinvention Podcast Show. Follow us on social media on TikTok at the Reinvention Podcast, YouTube at the Art of Reinvention Talk Show, and Instagram at the Art of Reinvention Podcast. And you can hit us up at www.teflonjohn.com. That's John spelled John for all motivational content in Teflon Radio. And again, as I always say, one love, but it's your choice to be blessed.